today we have Chesto.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
Thanks for having me.
Love to. Happy to. I'm glad you're here. You and I kind of go back. We've worked together for a few years now. So right out of the gate, let's introduce the people to who Chesto is, maybe where that name comes from, and a little introduction to your sound.
Yeah, so the name Chesto comes from my brother's best friend at the time in the summer of grade 1, whose name is Kute Kim, so shout out to Kute. He just started calling me Chesto out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I think it more or less just out of the blue. And it stuck. Kids do stupid stuff all the time, and you're in grade 1.
Yeah.
Like, what do you know?
Yeah,
So you're just
exactly,
saying
right?
random stuff all the time, and it's just Chesto, and then it stuck. And so, I would say 99% of people that meet me call me Chesto.
Okay.
In the right context, my parents call me Chesto. So, yeah.
All right. So
Yeah. It goes back, definitely. And in terms of sound, I'm kind of all over the map, but I like it that way. I
Good.
think
yeah. That's what I want to talk about too.
I think there's too much good music out there to stick to one genre or one niche.
Right. Focus on one side.
Exactly. Yeah. No,
Okay.
Not
Yeah.
my thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You were sort of a self-described booty banger maker, and I like to call you the single lady chaser. Pretty common in your social medias there. But why don't we start off again, like you saying you do dabble in a lot of sounds, and I think from your starting point, give or take 5 years ago, to your most recent stuff is a pretty big evolution. So let's talk about your early days, that Bruno Mars remix, collaborating with Lisa Dank, which is crazy, and your Enya Boys.
Yeah, so to go way, way, way back, I remember seeing the song My Feeling by Junior Jack on not MTV, but Much Music.
Yeah,
And,
back when we played music.
Exactly, yeah. And I remember hearing that in the loopy disco French house stuff, as well as the vocal, that Alexander O'Neill vocal. If you don't know the song, Google it.
I'll throw it in the link.
Yeah. And I just fell in love with it. And that was around 2001, and that was the same time Discovery came out, and Daft Punk and Credamore and Roulette and all those guys were
the big boom of French house, French music.
Alan Braxe, Fred Falk.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So I've always been a fan of that sampling 70s and 80s disco and funk, bring it forward.
Super groove heavy stuff.
Exactly.
So I guess Chesto has been accumulating for 20 odd years now.
Exactly.
From name and sound. So I really do want to talk about that musical identity because it's evolved so much, and not in the identity the postmodernist way, like we like to talk about off of air. So you sort of went from that, and I guess one of the things I thought was interesting, but also kind of piss off, is you really cleared out your SoundCloud.
Oh, definitely.
So what was behind the sort of the idea behind that? I mean, you've kind of got every 1 year you have one track up, but if we were to go back on your discography in your library, it's way more than that.
Oh yeah. So it's a constant evolution, right? And I don't like to. So I would use the example of somebody like Calvin Harris versus Diplo.
Okay.
So you might remember Calvin Harris coming to fame doing that 80s electro funk.
Yeah, I remember. I can't escape that in university. Yeah, I remember.
Ready for the Weekend, that kind of stuff.
I Like Girls, wherever that song
exactly,
was. Yeah,
exactly. So that's how he kind of came to prominence, and everybody just fell in love with that sound, and this is Calvin Harris, and the fact that he was singing on his own tracks was pretty awesome as well. And then when he switched to EDM, people just lost their shit.
Yeah.
People were I hate you, you're selling out, fuck this.
I'm done.
Fuck Calvin Harris. Whereas somebody like Diplo, he's always kind of jumped around from genre to genre. It doesn't
Moombahton, whatever.
Moombahton to trap to just weird shit.
Yeah,
basically.
G-funk, whatever.
It
you
doesn't
name it.
matter. You name it, he does it kind of thing, right? And people have kind of grown accustomed to that sound of that like constant evolution, constantly pushing the boundary, and like
trying new things, right?
Exactly.
Like as an artist evolution.
Exactly. And like nobody is gonna stick to one genre their whole life. It's just like there's, as I said, there's way too much good music out there to stick to one genre. So like I would say like, yeah, people fell in love with Diplo for his going everywhere.
Yeah.
So like I want to curate that kind of like similar vibe of like, it doesn't matter what it is, I will try anything.
Yeah, you don't want to like limit yourself or pigeon yourself to like a single genre. Like, oh, I like new disco, or I like whatever it is. You should listen to Chesto. You want people to find you because it's like, not only do I new disco, but I fuck with post rock.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is so sort of like your earlier beginnings and of starting out with that sample based Bruno Mars stuff. I thought was really cool, and I kind of want to ask you about two things about it. It wasn't necessarily a track a day, but you are doing consistent releases. So let's sort of talk about what spurred that on.
Yeah.
And then sort of the two things you learned as both in terms of like production. I just constantly doing that stuff and switching genres.
Yeah.
And just like as an artist, like what that meant for you.
So, like, I think it would have been, like, almost a year ago now. I started doing, like, a beat a day or, like, a track. Sometimes it was just an idea. Sometimes it was, like, a full-length kind of song. And the idea with that is just, like, to constantly push the boundaries of, like, get out of my box. Yeah. Learn more. Experiment in different genres. Like, I went from, like, sampling disco records to, like, sampling Bhangra records, like Bollywood type stuff, and the idea is again, like, I bring up Diplo in like a like trendy like context, and people are like, oh fuck that guy,
yeah,
he's
right,
EDM, right? But
like BlackBerry commercials,
yeah, you can like, and I'll say right now, like I don't like most of his music, but I respect him as an artist that he's constantly doing new things, right? So the idea is just to constantly like break out of your box, right? And I think too many artists are like, there's almost like so much momentum built up.
Yeah.
Over like, okay, I'm just doing disco house, or I'm just doing EDM, or I'm just doing trap or whatever.
And then when you try to break out of that too, right? Like people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
exactly.
I've been following you for this reason.
Exactly. So why not just curate that experience of constantly breaking out of the box and not even having a box.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Now, what like how much did you learn in terms of like producing? Like, because you did a bit of a range in terms of the sounds you were creating. So like, is there anything like you were like, oh my god, I had no idea, I could do this after you sampled Bollywood stuff or anything like that?
Well, it's almost like you could say like in a almost like mythological sense, it's like going out. Going out like into the chaos and like bringing back what's novel. Yeah. Right? And like if you're constantly doing that, you're constantly generating new ideas, new forms, new
challenging yourself.
Yeah, exactly. New challenges. And most of them are complete shit, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. But like, you have that one idea that's like that sparks something else, and then like might lead into a different avenue completely of like where you initially saw yourself as an artist or whatever. So
that's great. I mean, I liked it. I know there's some tracks that I definitely had in my feed and my like feed, and sad to see them go after they did. But one that's still there, and I'm gonna have to look at the name because it's a long one, is When You're Here, I Don't Have to Feel Alone. What is it? Because you have two very similar.
When you're here, I don't have to miss you.
Yeah.
And when I touch you, you are real.
Yeah. So that first one is just a beautiful track, and that's sort of why I alluded to the post rock earlier on, because like holy shit, this is some like pre Midnight City M83 stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it was gorgeous because like like I fell in love with you probably for your Mark Morrison remix.
Yeah. Okay.
And then to be like, oh my god, you dabbled in this. So sort of like those are huge contrasting genres. Like so that's what
definitely. So like
180 degree there. What
yeah, like I say, I just think there's too much good music to stick to one genre. Like I love so many different types of music. Like,
yeah.
And like I would say I'm a huge fan of just ambient music in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I'm like really into is like post rock definitely is huge.
Clearly,
like,
yeah.
Like doing a guitar and just letting it ring in just like one tone for like 2 minutes or something like that. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of that, and like the like slow gradual evolution of like a soundscape. Like I'm big into like cinematic music as well.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Huge fan of that kind of music myself.
Yeah. So like bands like Stars of the Lid, for example, I would check that out. Ramses, Hammock.
Nice. Name Drop City.
Yeah, check all these guys out. They're awesome. And it's just like creating. It's almost like less of a song, more of a vibe.
Or I'd even go as far as to call it an experience.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It there's something very like original about the music in the way that it makes you feel something. Right, like
exactly.
I could go through my list right now. It's mainly disco. There's some rap. There's future beats. There's whatever. But like, it doesn't evoke an emotion.
Exactly.
I don't. It's like, yeah, it's cool. I like it for these reasons, and I'll dance to it. But like you're like that, or like some explosions in the sky or something, or
totally.
you're like holy shit. Like there's something deep down that it is. So, I think that's great.
I guess
I think that's why I liked that one song.
Yeah, the impetus of that was actually, in a way, like quoted from my, at the time, 3-year-old niece.
Okay.
Who had moved to Ottawa, and was remarking to my mom what she just basically thought about her being there. Of
that's
like,
cool.
When you're here, I don't have to miss you. When like I can touch you.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
it's not
that's
just
really cool.
over FaceTime, right?
Yeah.
So like, trying to capture that emotion of just like pure joy of the fact that like you're like, holy crap, you're here.
Yeah, and that's such a cool perspective because it's from the perspective of like someone who has never missed someone before, right? Like this is like the shit is this like I'm so glad you're back. I didn't know what that was. I don't want to experience that again.
Exactly. Yeah. So like trying to capture that emotion, like even now, like I can listen to it, and this is weird, but like I listen to my own music and get goosebumps.
I think I think most artists would.
Yeah.
Same goes for a painter or a filmmaker, right?
Exactly. And I think like what it is like with that post rock stuff or like ambient or any genre, it's like, for me at least, I'm not making music. It's like I'm making a painting.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
No,
I like when I make like that kind of texture or tones or whatever, like I can't help but like see images.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a word for that, isn't there? Like the sound.
Synesthesia.
Synesthesia. There you go. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, so I'm curious about at least plans because you don't maybe you don't intend to grow in certain ways or involved in certain ways. But like I guess we could go A, what are you working on, or B, what are you working towards? Might be a better question.
So I
haven't seen many releases. I think that was 7 months ago or so.
Yeah, it's been a while. So like I have some things in the works, definitely. An album concept that I'm working on. That is very much like based on like emotion and like feeling, cool. Evoking certain like images or like feelings.
Maybe you looked into binaural beats at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that stuff too, definitely.
But let's go your album.
And like another artist that I've gotten into recently that is like something maybe in the direction that, or not in terms of maybe sound, but just feeling in general, is Francis and the Lights.
I haven't heard
Absolutely
them, so
beautiful.
I'll take a look.
My God. Yeah. He's collaborated a bunch with Chance the Rapper, and Kanye West and Bon Iver as well.
Okay, so all good music. All right.
Yeah. So, and in addition to that album concept, which hasn't, I'm trying to kind of nail it down, but it's kind of coming to that.
Yeah, art doesn't happen overnight, right?
Exactly.
Especially when you're exploring emotion.
Yeah, exactly. So in addition to that, I'm doing another like mixtape type thing of like sampled French house.
Booty bangers.
Yeah.
Some old Chesto roots.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Going
cool.
back to the roots. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm excited for both your keeping it classy and staying true to the original fans, and then the evolution here.
Exactly.
Now, I'm going to go off the beaten path and off the cuff as well, but let's talk, and because you and I are both fans, and I'm sure that most of the internet is of Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned chaos, and I was going to go for it, but I was like, I'll wait. What truth are you currently pursuing, I guess? Or are you currently pursuing a truth? I would assume you might.
So I think it's something like art and music is like...
Because you're a heavy photographer and designer as well.
Yeah. So I think it's like art and music, or what like I try and do is approach something like maybe absolute beauty, if you could call that.
Okay.
So like in a platonic sense, like like you may have heard of Plato's like theory or allegory of the cave.
I have it saved on my desktop right now. Actually, an image of it. I'm very fond of this. Why don't you? Because people may not know. Not everybody studies philosophy. So
exactly.
why don't you explain like a 5-year breakdown of Plato's allegory of the cave? And it's up to interpretation. So if it's different than mine, I'll
exactly. You might get letters.
Yeah.
Being like this was wrong, but
go back to school.
So basically what it is, it's like there are a couple of prisoners in a cave, and
it's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a couple of prisoners in a cave, and there's a fire, I think, in front of them, behind them.
Behind
them.
Yeah, behind them.
Yeah, and there are like almost like puppets on the wall.
Basically, like people doing like shadow puppets. So puppet. The reflection of the firelight casts. Someone's doing the bunny rabbit, and that's what they say.
Exactly. And the idea is that like that is in a way maybe our reality. It's like we're only seeing shadows.
Exactly.
We're not seeing the bigger picture here.
Mm-hmm.
And that could apply to so many different things.
Whatever your speculation reasoning is.
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea is that like once you're freed, if you're shackled to the wall and you can only see these images in front of you, that's all that you think reality is, right?
Exactly. That's all that exists.
Yeah, so if you're freed from that, you get up and can see like, holy crap, there was a fire behind me, and that wasn't it, right? And then, you might see like a light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You're like, holy crap, what is that?
Yeah.
And you have no conception of what that is. So you walk outwards and then into the light, and you're like just blown away with like the like transcendent beauty that just is
normal
reality.
Everyday, yeah, right.
Normal
Trees
everyday life.
Sky,
yeah. So like, you kind of use that metaphor to apply it to any kind of creative pursuit, really.
Sure.
It's like you're trying to get out of the cave.
And you're trying to find your light.
Exactly. You're trying to approach something like, so like the initial source of illumination was the fire, right? Which is just like, you take a match to it, or like, how they would set fires back 4,000 years ago with sticks and whatnot. But you go initially out of the cave and you gaze upon the sun, and that's the source of all illumination, right? You turn your eyes to that, and it's like that is something like absolute truth. Absolute beauty.
Okay, so you're pursuing your own sun out of the cave.
Exactly. Something like that.
That's cool. Well, I think that's an awesome metaphor, too. We'll probably end it there. I just want to tag on, too, that I'll get your feedback on it. When that person re-enters the cave, and they go to explain to people who look at the wall, you have to see this shit out there, right?
Yeah.
And
that's the other part of it, where you come back down and see, like, holy crap, we're actually not seeing the bigger picture. They're like, you're an idiot, and they kill him.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of how society kind of works, right? Like,
At least treats the artists.
Yeah, or treats the artist, or just
Truth
anybody
tellers,
that
yeah.
doesn't conform. You know, like if you think outside the box, and people are gonna punish you for it.
Yeah.
So, and I would fight against that at every possibility. So
I completely agree, but I think that's a perfect spot to wrap up. So we've got Chesto here. He's releasing 2 little projects in a bit. One that explores and searches for the sun from within the cave, and some classic booty bangers for you single ladies out there.
exactly, single ladies HMU.
There you go. Hit him up.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, Chesto.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to.
Cool.